Good afternoon. I'm your host, Jimmy Kim, and you are listening to the greatest show on the planet, The Jimmy Kim Show. Today, I'm interviewing Samuel Pena. Sam is the chief of the Houston Fire Department and a veteran of the U.S. Air Force. And we're going to start here. Sam, thank you for coming to the show in the studio.
Jimmy, thank you for having me here. It's an honor.
Yeah, my pleasure. Yeah, everybody is excited to hear your story as well as myself. So if you can start with some background about you.
About me? Well, look, I've been your fire chief here in the city of Houston now for the last 4.5 years. I was hired by Mayor Turner at the end of December 2016. Prior to that, I was the fire chief in the city of El Paso for about 3.5 years. And I actually grew up in that department. When I separated from the Air Force in '94, I went back to El Paso where I grew up and joined the fire department. And after 22 years, I had the honor to serve as their fire chief for the last 3.5 years. And then this opportunity came up, and here we are. It's been the opportunity of a lifetime, and it's been an honor to serve the city of Houston. Wow,
very nice. So many of the listeners and viewers may not have known that. So originally you started your fire service career in El Paso, and that's where you pretty much rose through the ranks.
Correct, yes.
And you did your time there at 22 years?
22 years in the city of El Paso. I went in as entry level like everybody else does and worked my way up.
Like taking out the trash, scrubbing the floors?
Scrubbing the floors, doing the bathrooms.
Bringing lunch?
Absolutely. Everybody has to go.
You got to put in your time, right?
You got to put in the time. And before that, I was in the Air Force where I started at the bottom as well. So, it's I decided, hey, I can't keep starting over.
Right. Well, now you're at the top.
Yeah.
You're managing 4,000 firefighters. Is that correct?
The Houston Fire Department is the third largest municipal fire department in the country, and we have budgeted 4,000 members. Right now, we're a little short-staffed, but we're hiring. And I want to do that. If you can give me an opportunity at some point, the Houston Fire Department is hiring. We're going to hire 280 firefighters this year, 280 firefighters next year, and the year after that to try to make up for attrition. And so, look, if you have those people in our community who have the heart to serve their community, that want an opportunity to make a positive impact every day in somebody else's life, then the Houston Fire Department is the career for you. So hfdcareers.org, you can go there and get additional information, and we'd love to have you be part of this team.
Very nice. All right, listeners and viewers, remember that. If you're looking for a new career or a career change, they're hiring. You heard it from the top guy. They're looking for good candidates. And can you explain some of the prerequisites? You don't have to go in large detail because there's probably quite a few, but
Absolutely.
Some of the general requirements to become a firefighter.
So more than anything, look, we want somebody who wants to serve their community. The Houston Fire Department is a full-service fire department. We run our EMS, paramedic levels. We do certainly fire responses, but also hazmat responses, rescue responses. We have, it's a full service ambulance. We run the ambulance service for the city, the 911 operation, and what we're looking for is an individual who wants to be part of this team, right? Wants to take part in as I mentioned, be a positive impact in their community. And there are opportunities throughout the department to expand, right? I mean, I mentioned all the emergency response, which is what people normally come on the job to do. But we also run communications. We have our dispatchers. We have arson investigators. We have inspectors. So there is a whole host of areas where people can apply to and promote into that will give them the opportunity to serve in those capacities. We're looking, the minimum requirements is you have to have 24 hours of college credit or 2 years of military service with an honorable discharge.
Okay.
And the application process is the same. It's a civil service exam, and then they go through the background checks, and also we're looking for somebody with good character. Somebody who, again, has demonstrated that they have an ability to interact with the public appropriately, and we'll provide the rest. We pay for the training. If you have no certification, you can come on, apply, If you get accepted, it's a 9-month academy, and you get paid while you're at the academy. They're making about $36,000 a year. When they graduate the academy successfully, then the first year firefighter will be making approximately $51,000 a year, beginning next year. Mm-hmm.
Very nice.
Yeah.
And the benefits are good as well.
Yeah. Look, it's we have a defined pension contribution. It's not a 401k. I mean, once you retire with if you do 20 years, I think it's 50% of whatever your salary is for the rest of your life, and then there's the cost of living adjustments to that. You get medical, health while you're on. Promotional opportunities are abundant here in the Houston Fire Department, so upward mobility is a definite possibility for those that want to take advantage of that. And so, but in the end, again, you get an opportunity to make a positive impact in some people's life while you're serving. Exactly.
Right. And on top of that, the best part is they get to be bossed around by you, right, Sam?
You know what? I've been very, very lucky. Both departments here and in El Paso that we have very dedicated employees that do exactly what is expected. Right? They they have the right heart to serve their community, so they make my job very easy.
That's
right?
good. I'm glad to hear that. So less micromanaging. That's what you're saying.
Absolutely.
Because if they're doing their job right, you can be more hands off.
Yeah. Look, it frees me up to get them the tools and the equipment to properly and safely do their job, and that's what I'm focused on. I spend very little time in trying to discipline, and which is indicative of the professionalism of the men and women of the Houston Fire Department.
I'm very glad to hear that. All right, Sam, if you can go into some detail about your education and the training that you had to get to where you're at now.
Well, I have a master's in business.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So an MBA?
An MBA.
Oh.
And my undergrad is criminal justice.
Okay.
So when I was in the Air Force, I thought I wanted to be a cop, right? So I went to school for what I thought I needed to do that. But when I separated from the Air Force, I went back again to the community where I grew up in El Paso. That's where I met my wife. We've been married now for 32 years, and she still looks the same as the day I met her, Jimmy. So I have
Smart man.
Yeah.
I hope she's listening to this right now.
I have to say that, man. That's how you make 32 years.
Yeah, good one.
But,
that sounds like a line I would use to the ladies out there, right?
No, but so I have an undergrad in criminal justice and an MBA. But in addition to that, all the training that's required to do your job appropriately, right? I took every opportunity to take every training that was available to me as I was moving up in the ranks in El Paso. And I took every opportunity for a diversity of experience within the department. I got a certification in aircraft rescue. I got a certification in hazmat. So there's just a variety of areas where you can go in and get additional knowledge of your job, because these men and women, the Houston Fire Department, they respond to about 350,000 calls for service per year on average, and every call is unique, and they're dynamic. So we cannot train you for every specific incident that you're going to be responding to. But certainly having a diversity of experience, a diversity of training, giving them the opportunities to get that experience will help them do their job safer and more efficiently, right? And the goal is to do the most good when we arrive, and make order out of chaos. So in order to do that, we have to provide them the tools, the equipment, the opportunities for them to refine their skills so they can make appropriate decisions on the scene.
And getting the education and training certainly helps with that, as you said.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Look, and formal education is important too. I've been told here and in the past that, hey, I don't need a degree to be a good firefighter. I get it, right? Especially when at the entry level, right? And as you're moving up, you need that technical skill. You need knowledge about, fire behavior, about building construction, about EMT work, which is primarily what we do. But as you move up in the ranks, the least used skill is the tactical one, right? You're no longer hauling a hose into a burning building and moving down a hallway looking for victims, right? You're managing people. So those soft skills that that you need. You know, the conflict resolution, the conflict management, the ability to do research, the ability to communicate appropriately. All those things are important as you move up in the ranks and you're managing people. And so you get that through the experience of going to school, right? Through getting your education. So it's critically important for us to have those requirements for firefighters, because look, there's life after the fire department. And what I want for our men and women on the department is to prepare themselves for that inevitability, right, when they retire and they can go on and do something else more productive, because who would not hire them with all the experience and all the training
absolutely.
and all the things that they bring to any company, you know? But the important thing is to have that education, because that's the price of admission for almost any job.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I've always been a big proponent of supporting education, whether it's formal or informal or outside of school, just being a lifelong learner
Correct.
of pretty much anything I can get my hands on. Even as the radio host, I have to be proficient to a certain degree to be able to talk about many different topics.
Correct.
Last week, I had Chief Deputy Brian Harris. We were talking about mostly law enforcement. Today is totally different direction.
Right.
Although we inject a little bit of that into the conversation, but now today we're specifically talking about the fire department. It's totally separate.
Yeah.
So just having that, me personally being open-minded to be able to have that breadth and be able to breadth of knowledge and to be able to talk about these topics that some people out there may necessarily not even give a hoot about, but I think they should, because it's an integral part of the community and the community we live in.
Absolutely. That's and it's critical to be able to speak at in those areas, right, and at different levels with different people. So
Yes, I agree. Yeah. And today I'm fortunate enough to talk about it with the person at the highest level in that department. So I have to be open-minded and be willing to learn, and that's why essentially I'm asking these questions you, because in all seriousness, I want to learn personally.
Right.
And then I know a lot of the listeners and the viewers, they get to learn as well as an added benefit. That's why they want to watch Samuel Pena.
And I want to provide as much information as we can, because,
Yes.
again, I couldn't be more proud of the work that the men and women of the Houston Fire Department do every single day, 1,000 calls a day. And on each one of them, they try to do the best that they can for those people that we're serving.
Good. I'm so glad to hear that. Can you tell us a little bit more about your career in the Air Force? I don't think a lot of people actually know that you did serve.
Yeah.
As you said, you were enlisted.
Right. I was enlisted.
Okay.
I went in as an E1. Graduated from.
Was that right after high
Space.
school? Right after high school?
No, I actually did. I think I went to college for a year and a half before
Okay.
I joined the Air Force, and
Very nice.
gave me an opportunity to get out of El Paso for a little bit,
Get
and
away from the tumbleweeds.
my wife and I had one son already, and so it gave us an opportunity to get a jump start right on our life, and I served as a command and control specialist for 4 years, and but just the moving was not conducive to family life, so we got out after 4 years and went back to El Paso, and again, that's where the rest is history. I applied to the fire department. I applied everywhere, police department, everywhere, and the fire department was the first one to call, but it's worked out. It's worked out after now 27 years in the fire service, and it's given me great opportunities to serve our community, and I couldn't be more proud of being able to do that and give back to this country. Jimmy, I'm a first generation U.S. citizen. My parents came over from Mexico and in search of a better life for their kids, and we've taken advantage of it. The U.S. is the land of opportunity, and with a little effort, a little encouragement, support from your family members and friends and others, we can achieve what we set out to do.
Right. But as well, we discussed this a little bit earlier, but taking individual responsibility for your success in your life, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That is critical. You are responsible for your future, for your destiny. You have to do the hard work, right? You have to take personal responsibility and not depend on somebody else to give something to you. And when failures come, and they will, more often than not, you're gonna.
I've been there. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure you have.
No, yeah, no, there are
You've
going to be
experienced some
challenges.
setbacks. Yeah.
Absolutely, you're going to get
Yeah.
punched in the mouth more
Oh,
often
yeah.
than not,
Yeah.
and it's to be able to get back up from that and keep moving forward, because again, if we wait around for somebody else to do it for us, it's not going to happen. Nobody's going to take the interest that they need in your personal success more than you are. So that's key, and that's what I try to teach my kids. I got two grown sons and 3 grandchildren, but certainly that's what I try to pass on to my kids, is that you are responsible for your future and your success, and you have to keep moving forward.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're living proof of that because nobody handed you position of chief of the Houston Fire Department, one of the largest municipal fire departments in the country. Nobody just gave it to you on a platter.
Right.
I know you put in your time, as you said earlier.
Yeah,
You put
no.
in the work and the time and the dedication. Yeah.
Right. No, you have to. You have to. But along with that, Jimmy, that statement would be incomplete if I don't follow up with the fact that when we arrive in these positions, I believe that we have an obligation to look after those that are coming behind us. We have an obligation to set up the pipeline so people can take those opportunities when they present themselves, right? And if I'm looking at the fire department, as the fire chief, I have to ensure that I'm providing that pipeline, right? Whether through assignments or opportunities or training.
Mentorship.
Mentorship, exactly. So, look, I'm just a temporary steward of this position, right? I'm going to be here
Eventually,
for a certain amount of
capacity.
time, and then, yes, it'll be passed on to somebody else. And it's critically important in any job to ensure that there is a pipeline of people that are prepared to take those positions. And it sounds funny because I'm the guy from the outside. I got hired from El Paso here for Houston. But it would be no bigger compliment for me than the next fire chief for the city of Houston to come from inside the department. We have, again, 4,000 members, and there are some very talented and well-equipped individuals that can do this job. I know that for a fact. And so it would be a huge compliment for me for the next fire chief to come in from inside.
Okay, that makes sense because they have a better understanding of how the department works. Although there's exceptions like yourself, but yeah, it certainly makes a big difference.
Right.
I can see that. And so is your position, is that appointed? Is it elected? How does that work?
It's appointed by the mayor.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
It is.
Yes. So Mayor Turner, when he got elected now 6 years ago,
Okay.
he's the one that brought me in.
Okay.
He hired me. Mhm.
Does he coordinate with, I guess, the outgoing chief to find the next chief? How does that usually work? Or does he pretty much
Yeah, no, it's his selection, his or her selection.
his selection?
Yes.
Okay. But I'm sure he has advisors that look within the department and
Yeah, I'm sure that they have a transition team that
Okay.
made recommendations. And I went through the process, through a hiring process, and here we are. It's been, again, it was not something that I expected. I was I was serving as fire chief in El Paso, and I thought I was doing well over there. But when this opportunity came up, I decided that it's a good way to gauge yourself to see if your ideas are mainstream or my way out there in left field, and when I decided to take this step, I decided that I was going to try to be competitive. I was not going to embarrass myself or the city of El Paso or even waste the time of the city of Houston, right? So
yes.
And we went through the process. Mayor Turner made me the offer to serve as his fire chief for the city, and it's been the best decision I think that I've made in a long time. I don't regret one minute of it.
Well, I'm very happy for you. Yeah, and it seems that you're very passionate about what you're doing as well, which I know is very important for success in any position.
Yeah, no, and look, the challenges that we've dealt with are going to happen in any job, but we can rise up to the challenge and try to make things better. And the goal, again, it sounds cliche, but the goal is to leave this department a little bit better than we found.
Or a lot better, right? Right, Sam? I know you have high standards based on my interactions with you. Explain to us the current state of the Houston Fire Department right now as a whole. I know you guys have a lot going on, but if we just look at the big picture, kind of looking down, 10,000 foot view looking down.
Mm-hmm. Well, look, we have the most critical issue that's pressing for the Houston Fire Department right now is the fact that the call volume is increasing. And it makes sense. Look, the census just came back, the numbers, and there was an increase in population here in the city of Houston. And along with that, being that, we're almost the primary health net for a lot of this, the community, the call volume has risen the same way. We've seen in the last 6 years about a 16 to 17% increase in call volume, and primarily, almost entirely in EMS work.
Okay.
So, resources is what we need, right? We need to ensure that we're providing enough ambulance service for the demand, because right now we're just being outpaced. The capacity is being outpaced by the demand, and so we need to ensure that we're advocating for enough resources to be able to meet that demand. But in addition to that is the hiring issue, right? In 2019, we missed our recruitment target by about 180 firefighters after Proposition B passed. Proposition B, the cost of that required that we let go about 300 firefighters, right? So when it passed, we had to cancel some training academy classes. We canceled 4 classes in 2019, and that forced us to miss our recruitment target by about 180. So now it's taking some time to make up for those recruits that we lost. That's why we're hiring 280, right? So our normal attrition is about 170 people per year that leave through either resignations or retirements or any other issue, about 170. But we have to hire about 100 more above that every year to try to make up for what we lost in 2019. We're working on that. Again, we just the mayor just approved an 18% pay raise for firefighters, which
awesome.
It'll be implemented over the next 24 months, and that's going to make us more competitive in the industry, because it is a practical concern. Look, it takes a lot of money to recruit people, get them through the pipeline, and get them certified to be out on the truck. The last thing we want is for them to leave for a department across the street for a few more bucks. We want to be competitive. We are the largest in the state, largest fire department in the state, and so we need to compensate them appropriately, because not only are we the largest, but we're also the busiest. And so we need to take care of our employees. One way you do that is be competitive in the industry as far as pay. So we're working on those items. The other thing is efficiencies within the fire department, right? Because it is I've heard it say in my time here in the fire industry that fire protection is a grudge purchase, right? Because
I don't get it.
It's very expensive.
Oh.
Most people don't. If you think about it, most people can go their entire life and never call 911, right? But when you do need it, you want it to be there, right, and present. So that's what my job is to ensure that when somebody calls 911, that there's no doubt about what's going to happen. To do that, it takes a lot of investment. I mean, my budget this year going in before the pay raise was implemented was $517 million. So $500 million for the department per year. 90% is in personnel costs. So it's very expensive, right, to do this, but it's necessary. Again, motor vehicle accidents, fires, EMS work, all those things are critical infrastructure items that need to be provided, right? And because they are so expensive, I think the community would look to the police chief and fire chief, being that we're the number 1 and number 2 draws on your general fund, to find the most efficient way to deliver that service, but have some capacity, right? Because I mean, coming from a business perspective, you can build a system that is so efficient that it's fragile, right? It doesn't withstand shock very well, but that's not what you want for the fire department. You want to have some redundancy. You want to have some capacity, and that's what we're working on.
Okay. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that that budget. Mm-hmm. It was a rebudgeting allocation to compensate the firefighters more.
Right.
Is that correct?
Right.
Yeah, I'm very happy to hear that something like that passed, because I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah. No, that's a big deal.
Definitely help.
That's a big deal. It's gonna certainly help in taking a step to be, again, as I mentioned, we want to be. If it was up to me, we'd be leading the charge in pay, right? But I don't.
It's out of your control.
But I don't want to be the last, right? We want to be competitive in our industry. We want the fire department to be, the Houston Fire Department to be a department of choice for those firefighters.
Okay. Next, can you explain your specific duties? Like, what does the typical day for Samuel Pena look like? And then also some of the expanding roles of the Houston Fire Department. I know you talked a little bit about it earlier, but a lot of people think that firefighters are just fighting fire when it's actually, you have so many other things that you're doing.
Yeah.
So if you can, once again, so two-part question there about your duties at, with the department, and then some of the other things that you guys do.
Well, let me start by answering the second question first, because I think it leads into what my duties are to answer your first question. The role of the fire department is it's a misnomer. It's not just the fire department. We are, think of it as a village people, right? We wear many hats. As I mentioned, fire service is one of the main things that we do, but the number of fires isn't really growing, right? It's plateaued. But fire response is something that we do, but we also do inspections, building inspections, fire inspections for the commercial buildings in the city of Houston. We have our own arson bureau, right, that does fire investigations for all fires. Every fire needs to have a cause and origin determination. And most of those small fires, the cause and origin is determined by the incident commander, the guys out in the street in the stations. They determine it, and then they write it up in their report. Larger fires, or fires that have fatalities, or fires that are complex, are handled by our arson bureau.
Okay.
Arson investigators are also peace officers, so they have that component. We have individuals. Everybody is certified in both fire and EMT, so they have dual certification at minimum.
All the firefighters?
All the firefighters.
Very good.
But in addition to that, our firefighters also have specialized certifications in hazardous materials response, in aircraft rescue response, in technical rescue response, and that involves high angle, confined space, trench rescue, and those expertise. We have communicators, we have dispatchers that are also firefighters. And
that depends on their department they're in, right?
That depends on the division that they're in.
Division, okay.
Right. So they all come in at the entry level as firefighters. And then the first promotion is to engineer operator, which is a driver. And then from there, they have an opportunity. The first line supervisory rank is captain. So they can stay in emergency operations and go up that rank, and be a company officer, and then eventually district chief and on up. Or they can go into any of the other bureaus, okay? Investigations, arson, communications. Those are also available to them depending on what they want to do with their career.
What they enjoy doing.
Exactly. So there's opportunities for that. Having said that, my job is, if I can boil it down to one sentence, is to serve those that are serving this community. And the way I serve them is ensuring that I'm providing and advocating for the proper resources, fire trucks, equipment, training, all the health and safety aspects that are necessary for our firefighters to safely do their job. So resources, fleet, facilities, health and safety, professional development, all those are responsibilities of the fire chief, is to advocate for those needs. In addition to that, most of my job is done with external stakeholders, the community groups, interacting with city council.
So you're doing a lot of outreach.
Exactly.
And engagement.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So because of that, I have 10 assistant chiefs, 3 executive assistants and 7 assistant chiefs that really manage the internal operations of the department. And so my job consists of that external outreach with those groups and those people that I have to interact and to ensure that, one, we're delivering the service that they need, right? That
Absolutely.
they're requiring, that they're expecting.
Yes.
And 2, advocating for the resources that I need to ensure that our firefighters are getting what they need.
Okay, so you're always out there talking to somebody.
We are.
Today happens to be me and all of our listeners and viewers.
That's right. And I was really looking forward to this day today too, Jimmy. But most of the day is done doing that. Interacting with those external groups.
Yeah, and I'm one of my motivations for doing this show actually with you, Sam, was so that you can get that message out.
Yeah.
Any way I can help, because the fire service is very important for our community, for the safety and security and well-being of Houston and the greater Houston area.
Yeah, no, look, Houston is a beautiful, beautiful city, but it is a big city. And
yes.
with big cities, sometimes we have big city problems. And
yes.
A lot of times, the safety and the security of our residents is paramount. I think the mayor and every mayor and city council are focused on that. And it's on us to try to ensure that we are providing the service that this community needs and that they expect.
Yes. Do y'all coordinate a lot with the Houston Police Department as well?
We do. Look, we're
Okay.
partners in public safety. We have to share resources. We have to, again, the police department is the largest draw in your general fund, followed by the Houston Fire Department. Okay, and so it's very important and it's critical that we have a good working relationship and be able to share these resources, because the men and women out on the street, they're responding to the same calls. They
That's
show
true.
up to the same calls. And so it's very critical that we have a good working relationship, that we're working together for the safety ultimately of the people that we're serving. But not only the police department. I mean, we coordinate with every other department. Public Works is a huge partner in our ability to service this community. They were with us in every major disaster. Jimmy, do you know how many people fit in the back of a dump truck? 39. And we know this because during Harvey, Public Works and their employees were assisting us with their dump trucks to pull
get people out from the flood.
out of the high water.
Yeah. My
high
goodness.
water incidents.
Well, that's saving a lot of people.
They are.
Yeah.
They
39.
They are first responders in every sense of the word as well. So Public Works, they were out there clearing streets during the freeze. They were out there assisting us with high water rescues. They are an integral part of what we're able to do. But not only them, every other department in the city of Houston, we have to. And luckily, what I found here is that we have a great working relationship. The Mayor Turner's his executives are very attuned to that fact, and again, we get along really, really well, and that helps the community as well, because when something happens, I mean, if Harvey and 9/11 taught us anything, Jimmy, is that even the largest department in the country at some point may need help. And so having those relationships set up ahead of time with those departments
Yes.
and other departments outside the city that are able to help us meet the demand is critical.
Yeah, real quick, while we continue the interview, while I was looking up Houston Fire Department, I looked up the vision statement and the mission statement, and I just have to read them out to all the listeners and viewers, because I was so impressed with what I saw, because I had never seen it before. So the vision statement of the Houston Fire Department is: HFD will be recognized as a premier public service organization, respected and admired by our peers and the community as the most diverse, innovative, and efficient public safety provider in the world. Really like that. And I feel like everything you're telling me perfectly aligns with that vision as
Certainly
well.
aspirational, isn't it?
Oh, I was so impressed. And I don't get impressed that easy by things I see on websites, but I was blown away. And then next we have the mission. I'm not going to read everything on here, but the basic mission statement, it says for Houston Fire Department: to save lives, protect property, and serve our community with courage, commitment, and compassion. Once again, love that too.
Keep it simple.
Yeah, one sentence. And then lastly, the slogan, it says, obviously it's encompassing the department, to have courage, commitment, and compassion. Yeah, once again, I thought these simple sentences have so much meaning. And like I said, based on our conversations, I know you're living up and representing this very well.
Yeah. Well, look, it doesn't have to be complex, right? When people are in need of assistance, what they want is somebody to arrive there quickly, efficiently, and be able to to change the trajectory of whatever is going on.
Yeah, do their job.
Do their job.
Another thing I saw from the website is the Houston Fire Department has a Class 1 rating from the insurance service offering. Is that still
Yes.
current right now?
Yes.
Can you explain to the listeners and viewers what that is? Because most people have no idea what that is. I didn't even know until I saw it on the website.
So the ISO is the Insurance Services Office. They provide what's called a public protection classification, right? And they rate not only the fire department, but also the water distribution system and the communication system. There's three components that they come in and rate. And it's all to see and gauge what the response to fires would be. The Class 1 is the highest classification any municipality
So
can
it's
have.
the best.
The best. And a Class 10 is the worst, right? The Houston Fire Department holds a Class 1 ISO rating from, or PPC rating from the ISO. And we got that last year in 2020.
Oh, it was last year.
Yes.
Oh.
So it's every 10 years they come in and assess. And so our assessment happened last year. They completed it last year, and we were given a Class 1, reaccredited for a Class 1 ISO. In addition to that, the Houston Fire Department is an accredited agency. So
I saw that as well. Yeah, that was actually going to be my next question. So yeah, you're going right into that. Yeah, if you can tell us about that.
So
from which commission and
right. So the Commission on Fire Accreditation International is a third-party accreditation agency that comes in and looks at the department, their policies, their procedures, their response times, their responses, the programs that they have.
And it's from peers, correct?
Exactly.
So from other fire departments or firefighters?
Other fire
people
departments.
that understand the industry.
Exactly. And they come in and see the service that we say we're providing, the efficiency of that service, and they do a spot check to validate that what we're saying we do, we actually do. And that helps because the community gives them a sense of security that the fire department is being run in a more professional way, right? And that we're delivering the service that the community expects, because one component of that accreditation is a strategic plan. And in order to determine what is it that the community expects from the fire department, we have to do that outreach, that engagement. I really don't like the word outreach, but the engagement with the community to see what is it that they expect from their fire department. So, no, we're very proud of the achievements that the men and women of the fire department have done, because it's through their work that we've achieved both the ISO Class 1 rating and the accreditation, right? It's not the fire chiefs, it's the people that are actually doing the work and proving that they're able to deliver on what we're saying we're doing that has earned us this. So we're very proud of that. The ISO rating helps commercial insurance primarily to keep the rates low, because it just demonstrates that the fire response is going to be efficient and effective to be able to handle some of these incidents.
So another reason why businesses should come to Houston, Texas to operate in. And
Absolutely.
then another good selling point for if you're looking for a fire department to work with, you would want to work with the best of the best.
Yes.
Houston Fire Department. There you go.
Yes, sir.
Proof is in the pudding.
It is. And no, but we've been blessed. We're blessed also with surrounding municipalities whose departments a lot of them are staffed by Houston firefighters that work over there part-time. And
Okay.
but those departments are outstanding as well. And we've engaged in mutual training and
Good.
mutual aid as well. Again, to be able to share those resources, because we are one community, Jimmy. It's
Yes.
one community. Mm-hmm.
All right, as we wrap up the interview, just a few quick questions. This is really big news around the world right now, and I have to ask you this. Do you have any thoughts about what's going on in Afghanistan? I know this is separate from the fire department, but just because it's so big in the world right now.
Well, look, Jimmy, from the humanitarian side, it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking what's happening in that country, and you know, I know that that leaving without any plan to ensure that those that are in that country are safe, especially other Americans, and those allies that have assisted us throughout these last 20 years. We've been there for 20 years fighting these, our nation's wars. And, we have to ensure that we're doing the right thing. I don't know what the right thing is, but I do know that just leaving them without any assistance is not, from my perspective, would not be the right
As a
thing.
former soldier as well.
Yeah. Yeah, look, our men and women for 20 years have fought there. They've bled there. A lot of them have given the ultimate sacrifice there. And we owe it to their memory, to their families, to ensure that we're doing the right thing in that country.
Okay. Next question is, since you are the fire chief, 3 tips to prevent a fire in your house or any building.
Look, have an exit plan.
Okay.
You need to have and practice that exit plan. Okay. Have a working smoke and carbon monoxide detector. Those things save lives. Our response times, look, even if we were there within a minute or two, what kills people is the smoke in these house fires. Okay. The early detection is going to be critical for you to be able to be alerted and have a time to get out. So having a working smoke detector and a working carbon monoxide detector are critical. We talked about the safety plan and have an extinguisher. Okay, and know how to use that thing.
I'm sure you've used a lot of those in your time, right?
Those
You're
are
the expert on that.
yes. And look, if there's any, if you need a smoke detector, if you need a carbon monoxide detector, reach out to the Houston Fire Department. We will provide one for you free of charge. And we may even go out there and install it for you. So again, those are just a simple changes can make a world of a difference and can save lives. I am not a fan of candles. Candles cause more issues than anything else, right? Aside from cooking fires. So be very cautious if you have open flame candles that you don't leave them unattended, because they can burn your house
Start
down.
a fire.
Absolutely.
Oh, very interesting. So stick to regular lights, pretty much.
Stick to
The
regular lights.
electric light. Last question, Sam. I always ask this for all the guests on the show. 3 tips to be successful in life. The best advice you can give to anybody listening or watching.
Man, I'm kind of long-winded here, but again, look, personal responsibility is huge with me. You have to take control of and responsibility for yourself. That includes your health, right, and your well-being and your safety.
And not relying on somebody else to do that for you, right?
Yeah, no, you can't rely on somebody else to do that for you. Look, I've been in municipal government for the last 27 years, and we do our best each and every day to try to make the positive impacts that we've talked about in people's lives when they call. But government can't be everything for everybody, right? We have to take some personal responsibility, especially now with everything that's going on. The pandemic is really crippling a lot of cities, and we know what it did last year to the economy. We can do something to combat that. Personal responsibility, taking care of our health is primary to being able to fight this off, and just taking the precautions that you need to take to ensure that you maintain yourself safe. If there's anything else, it's just that. I think that's the primary one is take care of yourself, and don't forget about your neighbor, right? Always be willing to lend a helping hand.
All right. Thanks, Samuel Pena, Chief of the Houston Fire Department. Thank you so much for being on the show today. And we are wrapping up today's episode. Jimmy Kim's show here. Tune in next Monday from 12 to 1 p.m. To all the listeners and viewers out there, thank you so much. Have a great day.